I posted on Instagram this morning a picture of the weather forecast to show how strong the wind was going to be, and I think I said something like a windy trip today, and a couple of people messaged me to say be careful, so thank you for the messages. But was going to go to Snowdonia, but the wind is so kind of fierce that changed plans, so I've come with my brother. So that's Martin. It's almost exactly a year since he last appeared in one of my films. So come down to the Llyn Peninsula to it's a village called Trefor, which is just here. My wife used to come here on holiday in the summers, so I've been here quite a lot. And there's great coastal scenery. There's some great sea stacks just around the corner here, but plans have gone a little bit awry because of the wind. And I'm going to now just show you how strong the wind is. So we're in this little bit of lee of the rocks, but bear with me because we tried to walk along this path and there's no way. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. It's impossible to walk. So hopefully that gives you an idea just how strong the wind is. It was impossible to walk along the path at the top of the ridge here with camera gear on because it blows you around all the time. So going to try and take some images this way and hope that it's forecast for the wind to drop. So going to try and take some images this way and see where we go. But there's a bit of a pier. There used to be a much bigger wooden pier, but waves are crashing over there. So I'm going to get a camera set up. But I won't be able to let go of the tripod, so apologies for the noise and the dodgy camera work when it comes up, but I'll see you soon. We're really seeing the power of the wind. It's a great setup. You've got kind of the composition I'm trying to get is these rocks in the foreground and the sweep of the bay, and then there's waves crashing over kind of the pier, and then kind of mountains in the background. But it's so windy that waves are breaking and blowing over the top of us, so it's a constant battle with sea spray. So every time I look at my camera, there's sea spray on it, which is making life difficult. But I'll show you what I'm working. So hopefully you get the idea here, and it's a nice kind of observation of the rule of thirds. So got this foreground here in my rule of thirds, which is great, and these are those rocks I mentioned. And then I've got the mountain, so I'll probably be about there. This peak on the other rule of third, on the top right-hand rule of third. So it's a nice kind of composition. But can't take anything without getting. Now my filter is covered in sea spray, so it's proving a real challenge, and every time I clean it with a cloth that I had to borrow off him because I can't find mine, missing out of my bag, clean it, try and take a photo and sea spray. So I think what we're going to do is go back to the car, have our sandwiches, and then hope something happens. It's about an hour till high tide, so the sea is going to get higher than it is at the moment, so more dramatic, maybe more problems. Come down off the hillside, it was ridiculous. It was I don't know, it's probably the worst conditions I've been in trying to take photographs for quite a while, partly because of the wind, but primarily because of the sea spray. It was just breaking over the top of us. So been and had our lunch sat in the car, and now we're on the beach. So earlier up I was talking about the it's not a pier, is it? It's a harbour wall. So talking about the harbour wall, so I'm on the other side. And what I'm working on is an image trying to get the harbour wall in and kind of some of the bay. So it'd probably be a panorama. I'll show you the setup. So here's the harbour wall, and I will, when the conditions are right, just spin this way. Maybe that's 3 images. What I'm trying to do, I'll just get the exposure right. I'm trying to avoid that car, so I'm starting just before that car, and then finish on these boats, the upturned boats here. which gives a nice end to the panorama. Sorry, I was pointing you out at sea. It gives a nice end to the panorama, but these big grey clouds over here. Whoa, that was a big one, look at that. So there are waves occasionally crashing right over, so it'd be great to get that timing right. But there's blue sky, so what I'm hoping and waiting for is these clouds to move across and for the sun to shine in the harbour. And it has done a couple of times while I was having my lunch. So I'm just waiting for that, but look at that, wave right over the top of the harbour wall. So it'd be nice to catch that. I've come right down to the water's edge, as you can see, not got my feet wet yet. But I'm working on a composition with this harbour wall, these boats, and then the mountains in the background. So a panorama. At the moment, the sun is shining beautifully. And in fact, you're getting a little bit of rainbow from the sea spray. But I'm just waiting for some light. In fact, it's happening now. Waiting for some light to come on the mountains. Just look over. The sun's coming and going really rapidly. And I want light over there as well as in the foreground. But I'll show you, I'm trying to get a composition. So lots of surf, boats over here, and then as you can see, mountains up there. But the challenge is trying to get a combination of all three. So when the waves are in, when there's light on here, and when there's light on the mountains. So I've got to just persevere. But I like the composition. Focused on the boats, which was a little bit tricky because they're moving around all the time. But you're getting waves coming over, so there's nice spray causing a rainbow. But just need light on the peaks. So I'm going to stand here and shiver until it happens. Maybe that's it now, because the sun's out quite brightly now. So let's hope so. It's also high tide has been, so gradually the tide is working its way away from me. But let's hope this sun shoots across over there. Oh, so I think we've come to the end of the photography, because despite the fact that the forecast was for the winds to drop, it's actually got a lot stronger, a lot worse. It's a lot worse. So much so it's hard to stand up. But what I'm going to do, so I hope you've enjoyed it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and film a bit up on the kind of harbour wall, just to give you an idea how kind of windy it is. But I'm not going to record any sound because it'll just be kind of madness. But in a second there'll be a clip from the top of the wall. But see you next time.